Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's going to be perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. No video game will be lost to time because we're trying to play them all. If you're just now joining us, we played every video game in 1980 that we could find a release date for, and now we're continuing the rest of the releases at some point in 1980 in alphabetical order. We last left off with Rip-Off, an excellent arcade game. And we actually have a few redemption games. Because of our last episode, I had some fans reach out and check it out. We can now play The Prisoner, and they even provided a game and manual. So before, when we couldn't boot it up at all, we can actually get a little taste of The Prisoner and have some redemption back. So let's check out The Prisoner on the Apple II, released at some point in 1980. We're just going to boot it right up, and we'll pull up the manual if we need to. So here it is. This is The Prisoner by Softsmith for Apple II. What will happen? The first step is, does the game load? Yes, we've actually got something to load. The second question is, can we play the game? We do have a manual now, so that's helpful. And we have some loud beeps. The Prisoner version 1.1 by Eduware Services. It is still so loud with the beeps. Looks like our resignation code is 417. I think we have to memorize that. 417. So where do we wish to go? We have several different places. Let's pick Tokyo. Now, if you think the game is broken, this is actually what happens when you first start to load it up. So I'm going to speed up the process. Go a little bit faster here. It makes you think that something crashes, but that's the way the game is, and then it builds itself back up again. So even at 600% on our Apple II Enhanced, it's still loading this slowly. And there we go. So here we are. We're playing The Prisoner. Our first place that we're going is the castle. And the way it works is the controls are displayed down at the bottom. Up, down, left, and right are U, D, L, and R. Very cumbersome, especially whenever you look at the keyboard. You have to remember where you want to go and then type that key in. So if I go up, you can see I just moved up and I hit a wall. By the way, I am the pound or hash symbol. And then if I go left, you can see my pound or hash symbol is moving. If I try to go up, and if I go right, you can see I'm hitting a wall and I'm building the map as I go. So if I go down, I can't go that direction, but I can go right, 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 and then I hit that one, and what about down, and left, down, and see, it's building the map as I move around. Something we kind of seen only on one other game, but the way this one's doing it is a little different. So, same when I'm moving around, and hit another wall, so I am a hash symbol, and if you think that's strange, it's not. For 1980, being a character as an @ symbol or a hash symbol, oh yeah, we'll see those and more. All right, so moving right, you can see another wall's there. It does feel so strange to use U, D, L, and R for the way you're supposed to move around. We have seen north, south, east, and west, but this one is the first time I've ever seen that kind of control scheme. So you can see as I'm moving around, I'm trying to make my way, what I'm guessing is going to be another wall that I hit. Yeah, there we go. And then going right, down, and up, right, and so it's like we're trying to get to the bottom right corner of the screen. Let's see if I keep going there and then down. No, so let's do left, down. How far can I go? Okay, so still trying to make my way around. Oh, and it blocked me away. So I'm trying to get to that exit on the one side, but it makes it a little difficult when you don't know what walls where the walls are going to be until you push against them. All right, so let's see if we can go down here. No. Down there. No. What if I go up here? No. Okay, so let's try this. Let's go around this side and then up here. Okay, not there. What about down and then right? Nope. Left, up, Oh no! So if I try to go all the way back, it won't work. I bet. Let's see. Yeah, that one does not work. What about left? Yeah, so you got to go down, 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 right, 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 down, left, 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 up, left, 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 all the way, and right. Nope, down, right. So it's almost like you're playing a blind maze, and we've only seen one other game I can think of that did it, which was on the Atari 2600, but not with this much complexity. So there you go. I made it to the end, and now it's saying good morning. Who are you? I'm 417. Oh, wrong. I'm not 417. I said 4132. The caretaker wishes to see you at your earliest convenience. And that's us. We are the pound and hash symbol. If you're just now joining us, this is the prisoner for the Apple II. And now it's going to increase the complexity, I'm guessing. Oh, okay, so now we're having different rooms that we can move in. Looks like that's all the movement I have to be able to do from this one. But this is as far as we'll go for the prisoner. It's a few different game modes. So it's not just what we thought, which was a text adventure game. It actually has a character that you're moving around the screen to escape, which is pretty cool. I tried to exit, and it said, such thoughts are punishable. Okay, so for the prisoner, considering everything else we've seen for the home computer space, that's pretty much average for the time. So I'm going to go 3 stars for the prisoner. And we have one other redemption, but we're not going to showcase it. It was Hellfire Warrior and Temple of Apshai. I didn't want those to be forgotten because at this point, when we reach 1981 and the years later, they're going to have compilations called the Apshai Trilogy. And we'll be able to play them then. The originals, though, on the Commodore PET and the TRS-80, I just made a typo whenever we started to boot them up. We had Chris Alimo on the show as a guest, and playing with him to play Hellfire Warrior and Temple of Apshai, it asked, do you want to enter the dungeon? Well, you had to actually push the number of the floor you wanted to enter. I kept saying yes or Y on the keyboard, and that caused the game to crash. So unbeknownst to me, one key wrong, and we couldn't play the game. But we will not be loading and booting those games up because on the original systems, they do take a long time to load. We've seen other role-playing games the same way, so we won't go back to them, but they have been re-rated. And we will see them again as compilations later. Okay, so after that, let's go back to the game we last left off on, which was Rip Off, and let's now move on to our next game. And as far as the prisoner, I do not know if that was UK only. The person that reached out to me was American that gave me the copy, and so I don't know if it was only in the UK. All right, so our next game is Sasuke versus Commander. One of the very few releases we've seen so far with Japanese. Let's take a look at the artwork for Sasuke versus Commander. There is the advertisement flyer. Looks like a Taito advertisement flyer, but I don't see Taito on the front. Examples of screenshots and a cocktail cabinet. And what's very interesting is this is the very first advertisement flyer that has blown up images of the characters in pixel art. Usually they have some graphic or a good description for them, but no, this is the genuine, that's what they look like in the game. So that's pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of the black box for Nintendo. There's the cocktail cabinet. And for controls, looks like it's left, right, and fire. I'm expecting a shooter then with those controls. Sasuke versus Commander. There's the example of the screenshot. Full color arcade game. We are still going to see some black and white, believe it or not. No manual for this one, so let's step up to the arcades and play Sasuke versus Commander. This is developed by SNK, released at some point in 1980. And this game is developed and released by SNK, but not using the moniker SNK yet. So I'm going to put a quarter in, and you can see it's Shin Nihon Kikaku, which was the original name before they acronymed it to SNK. So pushing start. Sasuke, protect my life. Okay, so it is a character we're moving left and right now, and able to shoot enemies from the top of the screen. We watch them fall down, and it looks like they're throwing ninja stars down at us. but I can deflect them with my shot. I have one bullet, like a Space Invaders game, that I can shoot at a time. Do they hurt me? They do. Okay, so as the bodies fall, you have to dodge the body at the same time. You can't just shoot them. They're actually going to fall down after. So I'm simultaneously dodging the ninja stars and the bodies that fall after I kill them. You never think of that when we're playing most of these in space. And so now that we're on the ground as a human being, and we got new enemies now, faster coming in. There's no way for me to shoot the bodies out of the way. I have to just dodge them. So kind of a cool mechanic, something we haven't seen yet. And a very early release by SNK. If memory serves, this is the second title by SNK. Has a good ring to it. I expect good things from SNK. There we go. Looking good. Magic bonus. We have lightning striking. Oh, and the Japanese, I'm not able to understand what he said, but he did say something. He yelled something at me. Oh, and burned me up. I win. No bonus. He's taunting us. Kind of an interesting play control because you're having to walk. And so it's not as direct or fast as a ship. The character at the bottom has steps, and there's a slight delay, and I think that's intended so you feel like you're a person moving around rather than a spaceship. No! They got me. And the end screen is me tripping. That is fantastic. So from Shin Nihon Kikaku, there is... I want to be able to do that magic bonus at the end. And the sound effects are awesome. Keep in mind that at this point, no one really knows the best sound effects. Sasuke, protect my life from ninja. Yes, Shogun. We will follow the Shogun. One of the other releases we saw from Japan was Lupin 3, and Lupin 3 did the same idea with the cutscenes, or a little bit of story involved in the game, which is very rare for an arcade game. But welcome, it's pretty cool. And pretty sure this was a Japan-only release, and not released anywhere else, at least this, especially the version I'm playing. There we go. I love how they show the dead body just for a brief second on the floor. So you kill them, you see them fall, and you also see them lying dead on the ground for just a second. No. See, I was in a tricky spot because when the enemies get low enough, you can't shoot them because they're going to fall on top of you. Yeah, you have to be able to get out of the way. Magic bonus. The battle begins with a stroke of lightning. Okay, so can I get him? I don't know how I can get him. Unless I plan... Yes! You gotta think ahead and get him. You win. Bonus 4,200. And then continues on. So cool, we do have... it looks like there was another character for the magic bonus. But that's a really good taste of Sasuke versus Commander. Excellent, excellent. So for the time, that's, I would say not really necessarily average, slightly above, but I can't really go as high as 4. I go 3.5. The one thing that's pushing it is the story. They have a little thing on the side, plus you have the bonus level, but we'll go 3.5 stars for Sasuke versus Commander, considering every other arcade game we've seen up to this point in 1980. And after that, what is our next game? Awesome. This is the Microvision. The only handheld right now at the time that you could have interchangeable cartridges, and this is Duel, which this emulator always gives me trouble. So here we go. Let's take a look at the artwork first. There's the front of the box for Duel by Microvision. Milton Bradley. Yes, interchangeable cartridge advertised on the side of the box. And there it is. That's the cartridge you would put in. It is the entire front of the game. Or it fills the whole front. So as you put it on, you get the whole screen, and the controls change as well. So every cartridge is included with this. This is what the cartridge would look like. All right, let's take a look at the manual for Duel. Looks like we got a side view of it, but there we go. Unique strategy game that pits a destroyer against a submarine in an intriguing naval battle of wits. Play solo, just the versus the computer, or challenge another player to an exciting match so you can play two-player. And we've seen some handhelds like that. You have to have them sitting right next to you. Maneuver the vessel into firing position and attack your opponent with a volley of depth charges or torpedoes. Duel is a thought-provoking tactical thriller with unique screen action called multiple simultaneous movement. It's a unique feature that allows you and your opponent to program your moving and firing actions at separate times, yet it displays the actual battle action taking place at the same time. With such movement, there is absolutely no advantage in playing first or second, so let the battle begin and fire away. Object of the game is to be the first player to score 6 on their vessel, and so we'll turn on the game, and then you press the game to have which style of play you want. If you haven't seen any of the other Microvision games we've seen, they are the most complex and the most engaging handhelds you could have at the time. And keep in mind, the other big seller for handhelds is the Game & Watch right now. So this is still using an LCD screen, but it's way more advanced pixel-wise, and they're very large pixels, and the emulator is going to have them zoomed in. But this handheld has given us a lot more options than any other handheld we've seen. So you press game, and then you decide if you want to be follow under the symbols for ship or sub, and then the player looks like a stick figure shown there. You can see the example of how many pixels we're looking at. And then the symbol representing the computer looks like a C. The placement of these is under ship and sub. And then the two-player symbols are, you can see the difference between ship and sub when you play two different people. And then you have skill level. How do you play, though? Because I'm wondering if it's just a battleship game in the palm of your hand. After you select skill level, you get 12 units of ammunition, 12 units of fuel, or 18 units of ammunition. So ammunition is used once you fire, and then a unit of fuel is used when you move 1 square. So once you run out of fuel or ammunition, you can no longer move or fire. In a two-player game, the amount of fuel and ammunition is the same for both players. After you press go, the destroyer and submarine appear on the screen. The destroyer is composed of 3 squares and looks like that. Yep, kind of like battleship. And submarine is 1 square. Notice the player indicator at the top of the screen. In a two-player game, it moves from ship to sub and back again to designate whose turn it is to move and fire. If you're playing against the computer, the player only appears under the vessel labeled, not the computer's. And then you move to the side of the screen, 2 distinct segments for moving and firing. So whenever it's your turn, you can move into the move panel. Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, it goes... so it's showing you how to align your ship and play with your ship. But yeah, this is the longest manual we've seen for the Microvision. Wow, and there's even battle action. And then for the two-player mode, how that works out. And then to win the game, oh man. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Okay, let's see what happens if we boot this up. This is Duel, released for the Milton Bradley Microvision at some point in 1980. And there you go. We have a very zoomed-in view of it. And I'm going to switch this out so you can see me a little bit better. On this side of the screen, right above my shoulder on this side, there's a dial at the bottom of the Microvision, and you can twist it back and forth. You can see here moving back and forth at the bottom. And then you want to follow the controls on this panel here. You know, I'll switch it back. We'll go to this side. And then you have all the different game modes. So let's pick game. And you can see here it's ship or sub. And that would be if you want 2 players or a computer. So I want to do, I want to be the ship and have the computer as the sub. So you can see there, I want to pick that one. And then say go. And I'm just pushing this on the handheld. After I say go, now we align the ships. So it looks like I'm first to go, and I'm now the battleship, or I'm the 3-piece. So I'm going to move that one. And yeah, it looks like I can move my ship. And let's try this one. Oh, okay, so my movement's done, and now the computer's going to go and move the submarine next. Is it going? So you can see on the left side, there's who's first and who's second, and now the sub should be making its move. If I set it correctly, the computer should be going. I don't see it moving, though. Let's see if we move. I'm trying to see if we can move the submarine instead, but it doesn't look like it. Let's try... Yeah, it's not moving the submarine. Like, it's supposed to have a computer-controlled character for it. Let's see. Trying different movements to see if it does, but I don't think so because or maybe the computer mode doesn't work. We can only play 2-player. Let's try it again with 2 players. Maybe they haven't programmed in the simulator for the computer to play with us. All right, so trying it again. This is Duel for Milton Bradley Microvision. There we go. So let's pick for game. Let's do 2-player and go. And so it looks like we're both directly together and we move ourselves around. So the first person to go does their movement. And you can see we ran out of fuel for that one. So now we can do the second movement, which is... Oh, I see. We had to use the bottom one. Oh, it looks like it doesn't work. So even though it has the simulator up and part of this is working, it doesn't look like it's working correctly. So when I try to do the controls for the next person, it's not allowing me to move correctly. Darn, so we can only get the view and the taste, but to actually play the handheld game, we don't get the full experience. So it looks like the simulator doesn't do everything it's supposed to. Or do I need to say something different? Maybe say clear? And that switches to the next one? Oh, it looks like it reset it for us. And then after the second one, then try to move the sub. What if I say... what if I try to say D? Yeah, there's a button you're supposed to push then that's not there or available for us to allow the second player to play. So sadly, we can't do any more of Duel, but that would be a handheld. I thought it was just going to be Battleship, but that's a handheld naval simulation game, which is amazing. So for the time, we gave baseball, by the way, a score of 5 on the Milton Bradley Microvision because of what it had. But for Duel, that's still extremely impressive for the time. So we're going to go 4 stars for Duel. The Microvision is an amazing handheld, one of the best we've seen so far on the channel. So after Duel, our next game is Secret of the Pharaohs, released for the Philips Videopac. And the Philips Videopac is the European version of the Magnavox Odyssey 2. I haven't seen this on the Magnavox Odyssey 2 yet. Let's take a look at the artwork for Secret of the Pharaohs. There's the front of the box. This is cart number 21. Secret of the Pharaohs, and I can't really tell the gameplay. We had another Secret of the Pharaohs for the Apple II, but it was a flipped screen game. You move from room to room, solving puzzles. This one looks like it's totally different. There's the example of the cartridge. Looks like there's one game on there, just Secret of the Pharaohs. An example of the screenshot. Do we have a manual? Oh no, there's no manual, so we'll pop in and see what we can figure out. Possibly going to need both controllers, because every now and then the first player and second player are switched. All right, we're popping it in. This is Secret of the Pharaohs for the Philips Videopac, released at some point in 1980. All right, so we're going to pick on the console, number 1. Game starts up, and I'm in control of the blue guy on the right, and I'm guessing we need 2 people then. I'm going to turn on the second controller. And yes, so second player is going to control the green guy on the left. Let's see what happens if I pick up the blue dot. Nothing. I can't do anything with the blue dot. And it looks like the only controls I have, the only button is, it's one button. If you can see on the bottom left corner of the screen, that's the Philips Videopac controller. One action button, and I'm pushing the action button, but nothing's happening there. Let's see if the second player can do anything with the blue dot. So we have movement, characters are going, but what is the objective, or what are we trying to do? I really would love to know. We didn't get a manual for Secret of the Pharaohs, and it's possible this was only a European release. If anyone does know where we can find the manual for Secret of the Pharaohs, I'd love to give it a second shot or another take. Looks really, really interesting. In the meantime, sadly for Secret of the Pharaohs, we're going to have to give that one a 0. Well, not a 0. We'll give it a 1. But until we get the objective or how to play, there's nothing else we can do for that one. All right, so after Secret of the Pharaohs, our next game is Skiing, also for the Pharaohs Videopac. This will be our third. It's like the console wars between Intellivision and Atari aren't the only ones. The Philips or Magnavox is trying it as well. So here we go. This is Skiing for the Philips Videopac. Let's take a look at the artwork. There's the front of the box. Pack number 25. Very interesting artwork. And you can see with the screenshots, they're showing kind of like what Intellivision does. The sprites are a full character, like they look like humans, which is very nice. Oh, there we go. It was called Alpine Skiing for the Magnavox Odyssey 2. And there's the example of the cartridge, just one game on there, skiing. Or the French version, Faire de Ski. Yeah, so we have the manual for it, and yeah, so Alpine Skiing was the one we played for the Magnavox Odyssey 2. All right, so I think this one is going to play pretty much the same way. For different versions, looks like we got a French one or the European, and so we're going to play the European version. So here we go. This is Skiing for the Philips Videopac, released at some point in 1980. We're going to push number 1 on the console, and there we go. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have 2 people that play. As you can see here, they're going to have us select which game we want by moving the joystick. And then whenever they take off, I'm on the left side as the green skier, and plays exactly like you'd expect with the joystick. Sadly, we don't have a second person with me, so the purple guy on the right isn't going anywhere. But for the left side, the green guy moving left and right feels great. You have different flags to go between. And reminds me a lot of the Atari skiing game. But if those are supposed to be trees, the Philips Videopac and Odyssey 2 got some fascination with mushrooms, because most of their trees look like mushrooms for the majority of the games. I just did a bunch of acid, and now I'm skiing past some blue mushrooms and red mushrooms. Yeah, man, it was great. Have fun in the slopes. And there were some different game modes, so let's do a reset and try a different one. So pop it again. This is Skiing for the Philips Videopac. And as soon as it boots up and we push what game mode we want, it's now going to say at the bottom the different games you can play. Slalom, Slalom Jaunt, Descent. Okay, so we get only Slalom, Slalom Jaunt, or Descent. So I'll go ahead and do Descent. As soon as it pops up, you move your joystick to select it. Wait for it. There. And that's the way you select in the user interface. You wait for it to scroll through and then make the selection. Okay, so same as before, player on the right is not moving. I'm just the player on the left. Yeah, it looks like this one's just continued to go through all of the mushrooms. Yes. I'm wondering if they had the same developer for so many games, because Magnavox Odyssey 2 and Philips Videopac had a lot of the same elements. We've seen the same characters that look like people. We've seen the same trees / mushrooms, and they've used them for a lot of the games. And that is pretty much it. That would be Skiing for the Philips Videopac. That's pretty good. That plays really well. So for the time, that's just perfectly average. 3 stars for Skiing for the Philips Videopac. Excellent. And after that, what is our next game? This is Sky Shooter. Sky Shooter in the arcades. Let's see what this is about. Here is our advertisement flyer for Sky Shooter by IRIM. I think this is our very first IRIM game. And it looks like this advertisement flyer is coming with another one, which is Commander. Maybe we'll see that one at some point. But yeah, IRIM, this is the Japanese advertisement flyer. And the screenshot is right up there at the top. with an example of, I wonder if these are two kits you could swap out within the arcade cabinet. And for controls, there we go. Left, right, and fire. The classic shooter controls. There we go, an example of the screenshot for Sky Shooter. The first release we've seen by IRIM in the arcades. And we have no manual for this one, so we're just going to see what happens. This is Sky Shooter in the arcades by IRIM. Came out at some point in 1980. And there's our attract mode. So right off the bat, I can't tell if it's programmed completely in black and white, and this is supposed to be the plexiglass overlay. It's possible it is color. Yeah, it looks like it is color because it's the parachutes coming down are mixed and matching, so it wouldn't have been a plexiglass overlay. All right, let's put a quarter in and see what Sky Shooter is about. And push and start. Pattern 1. Looks like I'm playing a tank at the bottom. I can fire one missile at a time. This one's giving me a lot of vibes of Atari's gallery shooter. Like I'm hitting moving targets like ducks and things in the carnival. As you can see, they are dropping some missiles, but there is no sound, so don't adjust your sound effects. After going from the extremely loud arcade games we played last episode, it feels deathly silent right now. And it looks like they're dropping, mines, which is giving me less room to move left and right at the bottom of the screen. And we've seen this mechanic before. Oh, yeah, he dropped that one right on top. If they started with pattern 1, I'm guessing there's other patterns we'll see later. This also feels a lot like one of the sub or naval games we've seen in the arcades. You have to get your timing down. The shot moves all the way across, like the torpedoes. And, okay, it looks like I can hit them before they drop. Oh, no, I can't. So you can see they've trapped me in, and I don't have a way to... that was my only wiggle room, that small amount of small amount at the bottom. Not really impressive. If this was, considering the other arcade games we've seen in the 80s, if we had a imaginary arcade that consisted of every arcade game we've seen up to this point, and this game was here, this would be a lower end arcade game. I mean, think of all the ones we've seen in 1980. We had Pac-Man, Rally X, Battlezone. All the vector-based arcade games have come out this year. Yeah, so this one, I would want to see other patterns, but you have to get that far. So you see you blow it away, and then it's still going to drop, and it looks like I'm trapped in again. So I have a small window of room here. And I don't know if they're going to move me to the next phase based on points. Oh, yeah, no way. It's crazy how quiet it is without any sound emulation. It must be a very rare arcade game or a hard to find one. They didn't want to spend a lot of time to program in the sound. All right, so that was Sky Shooter, our very first game we played by IRIM. Not as impressive as other arcade games. I wonder if I can go for the bad range on that. Yeah, I'll go for bad. It was... it wasn't the best considering every other game we played, and I'm even going to go for average. Yeah, so I'm going to go 2 stars for Sky Shooter. It's a slower, clunkier game using the shooter that we've seen. It's not doing the space theme, which we've seen before. All right, so after Sky Shooter, what is our next game? Our next release is Space Firebird, also in the arcades. Looks like we got another shooter. Let's check it out. This is the artwork for Space Firebird. Oh, awesome. This is by Nintendo. This would be our 4th or 5th arcade game by Nintendo we've seen on the channel. There's the example of the arcade cabinet. Oh, yes. For the win. The most wood paneling for any arcade game. They got it. Space Firebird. There's our PCB. And for control panel, look at that. Loving the design. Making it look really complicated. Like you're in control of a space control panel. We have a joystick as the controller, and it looks like we just have warp and fire. And they do have instructions over on the left side. And it looks like these are instructions for... Oh, it's interesting. Instructions in German for their control panel. Yeah, there's the controls. Left, moving left and right, firing and warping, and that's it. There's our arcade marquee for Space Firebird by Nintendo. An example of the screenshot. Let's take a look at the manual for Space Firebird. Nice. I'm getting vibes of Phoenix, so I'm wondering if they're gonna... Nintendo's copying Phoenix on this one. Specification, installation, points, wiring. I don't think we have anything about the game itself. Yeah, this looks like it is just the schematic of how to install. Yeah, nothing on the manual to give us about what Space Firebird is. So for different versions, we have one version by Gremlin. We have another one called Space Demon, which is and Star Warrior, and then a bootleg as well. We're gonna play the first one released in Japan. This is Space Firebird by Nintendo, released at some point in 1980. Oh, excellent! So we have a lot of the artwork. There's the marquee at the top, and what we see around the outside. That's awesome. Space Firebird. I'm telling you, Galaxian was so big. We've seen so many games after Galaxian that decided to do the multicolor star field. This one isn't scrolling. It's actually a fixed star field. But that idea that Galaxian had, there's so many games that have already copied that. This looks pretty good. The last game we played by Nintendo was Radar Scope. And this one looks like a different take on it. More based on Galaxian. All right, let's put a quarter in and see what it's like. And push and start. Oh, we didn't get a ditty. Okay, we do have the sound effects. Wow, okay, they got an enemy that explodes in like a spread of fire. Oh, and I got multiple shots. I was using one shot like a schmuck. I can do two at a time. And then I died. I gotta remember, I can shoot two at once. Oh, and this is... Oh, nice. Multiple hits for the enemy. First time we've seen a shooter do that. Oh, wow. And the patterns are very different than what we've seen for shooters. Nintendo isn't doing anything special or different, because it's obviously based on Galaxian or Moon Cresta. But they are bumping the difficulty up, making it really hard. Something else that's cool is the enemies are seen in the background, floating at us. Well, we don't have the star field moving toward us. It's pretty cool that you can see them a little bit. Also, my ship moves at a curve, like I'm flying around a bowl. I don't know if you saw when I move left and right, it goes up on the edges. That's pretty cool. And game over already. The high score of 940. All right, let's give it another shot. Putting the quarter in and push and start. Yeah, I like that too. See from the background? And it almost looks like it's part of the stars for a second, and then they fade in. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Yeah, and there's that one ship that explodes, and it rains down this shrapnel coming at you. There it is. I knew it was coming. I couldn't dodge it, though. It is really cool seeing developers change small things for the enemies in these games. Because you take a game that's influential like Space Invaders, and then everything just gets bumped just a little bit. Changed a little bit. That was crazy. He targeted me. Went right at me. I'm loving the artwork all the way around. And if we had the control panel down below us, right down here, it would work really well. It's also great seeing the evolution, because I usually have seen only from Galaxian to Galaga. And these very small changes are making me feel getting closer like I'm playing Galaga. We've seen a few other shooters that are pushing the play control. and the way the ships move around the screen. But yeah, this is awesome. Oh, wow. Yeah, they're giving me the control to be able to whip my ship a little bit higher up, which is nice. But, oh, it got a last-minute shot in there. Okay, let me change the view so we can see a little bit closer. Let's zoom in a little bit. Oh, nice. So this is the Nintendo one, and then the Gremlin. Cool. So when Gremlin released it, this is the artwork for the Gremlin arcade cabinet. Went for a totally different route. Really hitting on the Phoenix look, which we saw this year as well. That's pretty cool. And then we got the cocktail. It looks like it was released by Taito as well. So there's the cocktail view with the play instructions right above my head over here. And then looks like... Oh, they're giving you instructions on the far left side how to play. After extrication, back to the original position. Fly against the Firebird. Good timing. Can go through enemy shooting from side to side. And then we got the marquee for both of them. Cool, that's awesome. And then just the game itself. We'll just stick with the cocktail. It's a little more zoomed in. And pop another quarter in. Last shot for Space Firebird. Okay, now we got a better view to see the bullets. What they're shooting is really tiny. It was harder to see on the other one. And there it comes. I think the spread it blows up is different every time. So it's randomly throwing shrapnel all over the place. No! Yeah, it's different every time. So the farther back you can hit it, the better. I want to see what happens if I just wait and not shoot it. If it hits the bottom of the screen, is it automatic death? Right now at Nintendo, they've been releasing the Game & Watch system, and we've seen about 6 or 7 of them on the channel. So it's kind of cool to think that right now at the same time these games are being programmed, we also have the Game & Watch being released. And the giant gap of difference between the two. Handheld versus arcade. Oh yeah, the movement patterns of the ships. See, I'm getting vibes of the bonus round of Galaga right there. It plays a little bit different though. Anything else? Oh, here they come. Yes. The last few shooters we played on the channel have been variations of how you shoot enemies. And this one is actually changing it up. The enemy's fire is different. It's not just coming straight down at us. All right, let's see what happens if this thing reaches the bottom. Does it blow me up? Oh. Oh, okay, I see. So no matter what it's going to blow, it depends on when. So when the enemies fire at me, they're not just shooting one shot. Okay, here we go. This is interesting. I'm kind of expecting something to happen like in Galaga, where your ship gets captured, but no, I'd be really excited to see a game does that before Galaga. Like, this game is going to capture my ship like Galaga did, and it wasn't the first one to think of that, but no, I'm pretty sure that still was the first. Oh yeah, they change the sound effects when they come down. Awesome. Yeah, and they're keeping a log at the top. They're keeping a log at the top of the number of, I'm guessing, Space Firebirds. The purple bird is left. But I don't know if that means it changes the game mode or anything like that, because it looks like, when I'm looking at the instructions, there's not another mode after this. This is it. What you see is what you get. So for Space Firebird, that was very well done. So for the time, as far as arcade games, I'm not going to push it as high as 4. I'll go 3.5 stars. It's not doing as much as we've seen in the arcade space. For everything else we've seen, it is definitely above average, definitely a good game. So 3.5 stars for Space Firebird. I'm guessing our next game begins with space. Oh yes, Space Force. Also for the arcades. It's the newest Space Shooter. Let's see what Space Force is all about. Here's the artwork for Space Force. Change a Game, which has, hey, there it is. We saw Devil Zone, and there's Space Force we're going to check out. Spiders, haven't seen that, and then Space Battles. This is exclusive Venture Line. Change a Game. And there it is, R2D Tank. We've seen that one. So a few of these we've already seen on the channel in the arcades. We're now getting arcade manufacturers and distributors allowing their games to be switched out easily. No one wants to buy the entire cabinet again for a whole new game. It'd be easier if you just switch out a few components and then be able to play a new game. The big thing we've seen was the Deco cassette system. That is the easiest way at this point to switch out a game. But we're going to see more and more variations of arcade games can quickly switch from one to the other. There's our PCB, and for controls, looks like it's left, right, fire, and thrust for Space Force. There's the marquee, Space Force. An example of the screenshot. No manual for this one. For different versions, we also have a game called Meteoroids that it looks like it's a copy of. But we're going to play the original Space Force. This is by Venture Line. First one we've seen by Venture Line, released in the arcades in 1980. Space Force by Venture Line. What is Venture Line? I've never heard of that one. We've seen some big hitters, IREM, Nintendo, Midway, Williams, and so forth, but Venture Line, not as popular. Maybe they'll play something good. All right, let's see what Space Force is like. Let's put a quarter in and push and start. Oh, that was cool. So it showed the ship shooting off, and then now here I am. I got full range on the screen. I can move around. Do I have a hyperspace button? No, I just have the thrust and shoot. So it's a raster-based game of asteroids. Asteroids getting smaller, going across the screen. Oh, yep, a UFO's coming. Nice. So it's a copy of Asteroids, but very well done. Is it going to go inevitably? It looks like, oh man, they're even getting smaller. So since the screen scrolls, I'm doing my best to try to stay near the middle. That UFO, that was really difficult. Cool effect though, having the ship get smaller from one to the other. Oh, and it takes me back exactly as I was before. And they got the heart-thumping beat in the background as you're playing, as it gets more and more intense. Oh no, the UFO. What's gone? Oh yeah, this is hectic and crazy, and it's amazing. Of course it's the UFO that gets me. Every time. UFO usually gets me in the Asteroids game too. Space Force. There's also no get out of jail free card. There's no hyperspace button. Okay, here we go. Enter your initials. Awesome. Press fire. There it is. Still a novelty. We haven't seen every arcade game doing this, where you can put your initials in. There you go. High score. 4,640. That was pretty good. So for copycats, we had one game earlier that had this mode, but also a fixed shooter mode, and that was, what was that one? Space. Yes, it was Quasar. So Quasar allowed it to be first a fixed shooter and then a top-down shooter like Asteroids, or multi-directional shooter. Okay, so for Space Force, this one's pretty good though for a copy of Asteroids. We're gonna go 4 stars for Space Force. That's well done, excellent game, fun to play. All right, so after Space Force, what is our next game? Space Intruder. Oh, here we go. Yes, this is what I meant by exact clones of Space Invaders. And this one's cashing in, definitely. All right, here's the artwork for Space Intruders Deluxe. Looks like a British manufactured video game by Sub Electro. So Sub Electro is copying Space Invaders. And this is Space Intruders. There's the example of the arcade cabinet and control panel, left, right, and fire for 1 or 2 players. Be interesting to know if anybody in Europe played this first before Space Invaders. Space Intruder. There's some of the screenshots, and for different versions, yeah, we have a Japanese version. Oh, so that arcade cabinet was for Europe, so this may have been released first in Europe, and then, first in Japan, and then Europe. All right, let's see how much this likes Space Invaders. This is Space Intruder for the arcades, developed by Shoei. Yeah, so it looks like it was released Japan first, and then Europe after that, the arcade cabinet we saw earlier. All right, let's put a quarter in and push and start. Oh, yes. Space Invaders all the way. Do we have any sound at all? No, it sounds like nothing was programmed for sound, but it's almost 1-to-1 Space Invaders. Even the shields at the bottom are exactly the same. Enemy designs are pretty much the same. They may have added a couple pixels different, but I mean, if you want to be sticklers about it, you can definitely tell it's Space Invaders, but no sound either. No way. That was a pretty big ripoff. Okay, so for Space Invaders, considering we already played a game called Ripoff, this is the ripoff. That would be considered a bad arcade game for the time. So let's go with we'll go with 2 stars, because it's still something that if the first time you were to play this and you haven't seen Space Invaders yet, because it did come out in 1978, this is 2 years later, but still bad, but not considering something lower than that. So we'll say 2 stars for Space Intruder. Very interesting. So after Space Intruder, our next game is, Space Invaders for the Atari home computer. Yeah, I was going to say slightly different, but yeah, you got to be sticklers for that. All right, let's check it out. This is Space Invaders for your Atari home computer. Here's the artwork. Yes, Space Invaders. And I'm wondering when the release date was. It's so hard to pin these down. We got the Space Invaders for the Atari 2600 and got a general idea where that was released. But this one, I couldn't find anything concrete, document-wise. Do not do Wikipedia. That's not the best source. So if you have any sources or documents for anything, please let me know so I can correct them. Between this and the other Space Invaders, it'd be really cool to see when they released. So this is for the 400 or 800 Atari computer, and there's the back of the box. I would consider, of all the home computers we played at the time, this one is one of the best, because you can plug in the same controllers you play on the home console for your computer. It's awesome. We'll pretend we're playing on the Atari 800 for this one. But there you go, Space Invaders. There's the example of the cartridge for your home computer, and this cartridge is saying 1986 for the home computer, but this may have been a later cartridge. Let's see, there's another one. There's in 1981's on this cartridge for the Atari model CXL44008. There we go. The one we'll be playing on is going to be most likely the 5 1/4 floppy disk. And there's the example of the screenshot. For different versions, we're going to be playing off of the K file for the US version. Here we go. The 1980 release of Space Invaders for your Atari home computer. The one you've all been waiting for. Here it is. It does the same for the home console, where it has an attract mode first. And then let's see what happens if we start us up. Yes. Cool concept. They're coming out from the left side. It feels like I'm playing a different variation of Space Invaders. And considering the copy we just played, Space Intruder, this one plays better and works better. Are they going to move to the other? Oh, there we go. Nice. Oh, man, but it's so smooth and plays so well, too. This plays better than the arcade game we just played. There it is. Nice, and then it moves closer and closer. Okay, cool. Love it. And just like the Atari home console, the computer does have different game modes. So I'm playing the first version you can play, one player. Get all the aliens across the screen. But I gotta admit, man, the Atari home computer is more powerful than the Atari 2800. It's eventually gonna be what turns into the Atari 5200. But yeah, it is no shields, I saw from the chat. But you notice the animation of the invaders. It actually looks really good. Oh no. Ooh. And I think we have different game modes. We can add shields if we wanted to switch them out. Yeah, there's ways we can play the different game modes as well. All right, let's give it a shot and see if we can switch it around just a little bit. We want to go... Yeah, so you can do player 1 or player 2, and then which game we want to play is going to be... There. So we have different games we can play. Game 5. Let's try 11. Did that just change the ship? I think all it did is change the ship. Okay, so there's 12 different games, and you can change up the different lives. Oh, wow. And this one has the... Their shots are curving into mine. So I guess they don't have shields. Let me try it again. Going back to... Let's do player 1. And we want game 4. Yeah, so this one doesn't have the shields like in the home console version. But it was changing up the shots and a few other options with what the aliens do as they come down. So cool. Okay, so Space Invaders for the Atari home computer. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like it. So for the time, we gave Space Invaders on the Atari 2600 5 stars, all the different game modes, how influential it was, and a big of a release it was. This one's very, very good. I'm not going to give it up to the 5 stars, though. This one's excellent. I'm going to go 4 stars for Space Invaders for the home computer. I mean, if you think about all the other games you can play on your home computer, this is excellent. We played some other ones more obscure on the XD Sorcerer and the TRS-80 or the Commodore PET. And those shooters, nothing like this. This is a much better shooter you can play on home computer. All right, so that was 4 stars for Space Invaders on your Atari home computer. And with that, we're going to end our evening with an excellent game you can play. For any other games that we haven't seen yet that need to be seen in 1980, please let me know and make sure we don't miss them before we close out the year. And for any games that did not work correctly, or we didn't have the manual or get the full experience, let me know. I really enjoy all the comments from fans or anyone that's been watching, so that we can revisit it and give redemption for those games. In the meantime, we will catch you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we miss any games along the way. This video would not be possible without RetroArch and Launchbox. Please tell your friends there's some crazy guy out there trying to play every single video game. You can always check out Chronologically Gaming on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We will catch you next time.